Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Join us as we dive into the world of Disastrous Necromancer, where we'll unravel the mysteries of Lin Moyu's quest to become the strongest. From hidden secrets to epic battles, we're here to give you an exclusive look at the story before anyone else. If you're a fan of fantasy, necromancers, or just love a good adventure, you're in the right place. Don't forget to like, comment, and share to support the channel, and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss a chapter. Let's start the journey.
After entering the secret realm and discovering the rune fragments, Lin Moyu continuously tried to remember the runes. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, he wanted to try, even though he knew he was aiming too high. After all, it was hard to resist the temptation of high-level power. Until this moment, Lin Moyu finally understood. Indeed, this was not a level he could touch yet. He put away all his curiosity and stopped considering the rune fragments, focusing on the task at hand. The skeletal god generals charged into the bone hell, quickly killing the fish monsters. Within minutes, tens of thousands of fish monsters were slaughtered. The water masses in the air remained clear, but the fish monsters inside were all dead, leaving the water masses empty. Rune fragments continued to flow within the water masses. At this moment, Lin Moyu no longer wanted to look at them. He knew that even if he forcibly remembered them, he would soon forget. This was not a level of power he could touch, so there was no need to force it. However, he noticed that the water masses were starting to glow. After the fish monsters died, the empty water masses began to change again. From all directions, hundreds of giant water masses suddenly flew into the sky. They soared to a height of 10,000 meters and then exploded. The entire sky lit up, and the clear water suddenly turned golden. In the next second, a magnificent golden rain fell from the sky, turning the entire world golden. A bad feeling arose in Lin Moyu's heart, and his soul warned him of impending danger. But where was the danger coming from? There were no enemies around, and the undead vision revealed nothing. When he reopened his soul eye, Lin Moyu shuddered and quickly closed his eyes. He knew where the danger was coming from. It was the golden rain. The falling rain was not golden water but rune fragments. I can't let this rain touch me. His instincts told him that letting the rain touch him would be disastrous. The bone hell appeared beside him, emitting gray and white mist to block the rain. The chanting of Buddhist scriptures sounded, and the Buddhist lich appeared beside him. Spell. True sight. Using the golden rain as a medium, Lin Moyu invoked the law of fate to glimpse the future. In the feedback from the law of fate, Lin Moyu saw possible future events. The golden rain grew heavier, continuously falling. The entire land glowed with golden light. The bone hell gradually dissolved in the golden rain and eventually collapsed. Then, he was enveloped by the golden rain, turning into a golden figure covered in rune fragments. The vision ended there, and Lin Moyu felt a chill in his heart. If he couldn't find a way to deal with the golden rain, he might be trapped here forever. He had two choices: find a way to deal with the golden rain or use the escape talisman to leave the secret realm. The future he saw was not the real future, but what would happen if he did nothing? A large number of skeletal god generals charged out, turning into streams of light and rushing in all directions. Lin Moyu needed to find a way out. The golden rain might not cover the entire secret realm. There might be places without it. But the result was disappointing. The skeletal god generals slowed down after flying only 10,000 kilometers. They were covered in golden raindrops, turning into golden skeletons covered in rune fragments. Their speed slowed down, and within seconds, they were motionless. The connection between Lin Moyu and the skeletal god generals was completely severed. The skeletal god generals were dead, with no chance of resurrection. His talents and passive spells all lost their effect at that moment. This change made Lin Moyu feel a chill. The skeletal god generals were not dead but had lost contact with him, as if they had been forcibly removed from the undead army and were no longer part of it. Naturally, his passive spells and talents no longer worked on them. From the reaction of the skeletal god generals, Lin Moyu deduced that if he were enveloped by the golden rain and covered in runes, he would also have no chance of resurrection. These rune fragments were extremely terrifying. Lin Moyu held the escape talisman in his hand. If things became truly unavoidable, he wouldn't force it. Survival was paramount. The chanting of Buddhist scriptures sounded again, and Lin Moyu used true sight for the second time. This time, using the golden rain as a medium, he chose to save himself by flying into the sky. Perhaps flying in another direction could also lead to escape, but he didn't know which direction was correct. True sight could only be used 3 times, and now he had 2 chances left, leaving him with limited options. Lin Moyu chose to fly upwards, hoping to break through the clouds for a chance of survival. True sight provided a result. In the future vision, he shot into the sky like a rocket. The closer he got to the clouds, the denser the golden rain became, and the faster the bone hell dissolved. He seemed to be blocked by some great force, and his flying speed slowed down. This scene was identical to what happened to the skeletal god generals earlier. The bone hell collapsed under the impact of the golden rain. He was enveloped by the golden rain, unable to move, and fell heavily to the ground. The vision ended there. Lin Moyu's face turned pale. Flying upwards was ineffective. Choosing any direction on the ground had a low probability of survival. The mist of the bone hell was collapsing, and Lin Moyu had little time left. His best option now was to use the escape talisman to leave. However, Lin Moyu was reluctant to give up. He still had one last chance with true sight and wanted to try again. Suddenly, his eyes lit up, and he smiled. I know how to deal with the golden rain. In the previous vision, in the last second, when he fell to the ground, the impact created a large pit. The ground was not solid and could be broken. In the first use of true sight, although the ground glowed with golden light, it absorbed the runes and was not covered by the golden rain. The ground could resist the golden rain. Lin Moyu pressed his palm lightly, and the power of the God King spread out. The ground rumbled and cracked. A large cubic stone, over 100 meters on each side, was forcibly extracted. The edges of the stone were as sharp as blades, smooth as a mirror. The stone was massive and incredibly heavy. The density of the material in the secret realm far exceeded that of ordinary stars. The weight of this stone surpassed the combined weight of several planets. However, for Lin Moyu, it was still manageable, not too burdensome. The skeletal god generals came to the four corners of the stone, lifting it in place of Lin Moyu. It wasn't that he couldn't handle the weight, but why exert himself when the skeletal god generals could do it? Using the stone as an umbrella, he blocked the golden rain. As Lin Moyu had expected, the ground of the secret realm could resist the golden rain. He saved his last use of true sight. Choosing a random direction, the skeletal god generals carried the stone and flew quickly. The golden rain continued to fall, and the secret realm seemed vast. After flying for a long time, they were still within the range of the golden rain. An hour later, the flying stone stopped. Lin Moyu's expression was complex as he looked at the golden pool on the ground, frowning slightly. The golden pool was cubic, 100 meters on each side and 100 meters deep. It was the place where he had extracted the stone earlier. After flying for an hour, he had returned to the original spot. Is it a formation, runes, or because of the rules? After pondering for a moment, Lin Moyu decided to try again. He flew in another direction, and an hour later, he saw the pit again. After an hour of golden rain, the pool had filled up a bit more. Let's try another direction. The giant stone ascended, flying towards the sky. Lin Moyu's idea of changing direction was not to go left, right, forward, or backward, but to head directly towards the sky. Moving in any other direction had become meaningless. Lin Moyu speculated that breaking through the cloud layer was the correct way out of the secret realm. As they got closer to the sky, the pressure on the skeletal god generals increased. Each drop of golden rain felt like a giant fist, crashing onto the stone with a roar. Initially, only 4 skeletal god generals were holding up the stone. As the pressure increased, their speed slowed down. Lin Moyu added several more skeletal god generals. The skeletal god generals were small god sovereigns, possessing immense strength. In terms of physical power, they far surpassed ordinary small god sovereigns. Even they struggled to withstand the impact of the golden rain, indicating how powerful the rain's force was. Lin Moyu felt the impact of the golden raindrops and understood, as long as one has the strength of a small god sovereign, they can break through the golden rain barrier. The key is that the stone must not be too large, with dimensions not exceeding 10 meters. The larger the stone, the more golden rain it would endure, and naturally, the greater the pressure. The secret realm's level limit was the 9th level of the God King realm. Among the human race, there was no shortage of geniuses, and a 9th level God King could unleash the power of a small god sovereign. As long as the stone was reasonably controlled, it could block the golden rain and break through the cloud layer. Lin Moyu was never arrogant. Since he could think of a solution, others could too. The world was never short of smart people. Dozens of skeletal god generals held up the giant stone, enduring the golden rain, and forcefully broke through the cloud layer. The world changed, and bright light shone down. Lin Moyu stood above the clouds, looking at the floating clouds and the beautiful scenery. In the distance, a light ball resembling a star slowly rose, like the rising sun, bringing a sense of peace and joy. Suddenly, a sense of unease struck. Lin Moyu instinctively flew to the other side of the giant stone. In an instant, countless golden beams shot up from below, like a spectacular reverse waterfall. The skeletal god generals couldn't dodge in time and were hit by the beams, instantly turning into golden skeletons and losing contact. The golden skeletal god generals fell from the sky, back into the cloud layer. Lin Moyu reached out and firmly grasped the giant stone. At this moment, only the giant stone could block the golden beams. Hiding behind the stone, Lin Moyu was extremely safe, but he had lost dozens of skeletal god generals. the attack had come too suddenly. Flying out of the cloud layer and seeing the warm sun was the most relaxing moment. At such a moment, the sudden beams could easily catch one off guard. Lin Moyu felt a lingering fear. This secret realm was more dangerous than any dungeon he had experienced. The danger didn't come from the enemies within the secret realm but from its rules. The power of the rules was something even he couldn't resist. He could only follow the rules to find a solution. The golden beams shooting up from the cloud layer gradually disappeared after a few seconds. The clouds completely dispersed, revealing the clear sky. Lin Moyu saw the ground again. At this moment, the ground was covered with golden water, turning the secret realm into a swamp. Falling into it would have dire consequences. The light ball in the distance seemed to grow larger and was rapidly approaching. Lin Moyu became vigilant and summoned dozens of skeletal god generals again, having them hold onto the giant stone. This time, he was smarter, placing skeletal god generals on all sides of the stone. This way, no matter where the attack came from, he could respond calmly. The light ball grew larger in his vision, quickly approaching. When it was less than 10,000 miles away, Lin Moyu saw clearly that it wasn't a light ball but a large mass of golden water composed of rune fragments. The golden water mass had a diameter of several thousand kilometers, resembling a small star. Countless runes flickered on its surface, emitting dazzling golden light. Although it was beautiful, Lin Moyu knew it was extremely deadly. The golden water mass stopped and began to change shape. Gradually, it transformed into a water dragon made of golden runes. In appearance, it was identical to the divine dragons of the dragon race. In terms of power, it wasn't strong, only at the 9th level of the God King realm, not even reaching the small God Sovereign level. But it was extremely dangerous because it couldn't be touched. Even a God Sovereign who touched it would be turned into gold by the runes and never escape. A dragon roar echoed through the secret realm. The water dragon spewed dragon breath, which was also composed of golden water filled with runes. Damn, Lin Moyu was still observing when the attack came fiercely. Without thinking, he immediately hid behind the giant stone. The dragon breath hit the stone, causing it to fly backward. The skeletal god generals on the side facing the water dragon instantly turned into gold and fell from the sky. As Lin Moyu had expected, touching it meant death. He couldn't just sit and wait. Since he couldn't touch it, he would attack from a distance. After all, he had plenty of skeletons. A large number of skeletal god generals appeared in the air, unleashing powerful sword energy. The small god sovereign level attacks hit the water dragon, shattering it into countless pieces. The water dragon exploded into a rain of golden water, falling into the golden swamp below. Is it over? Lin Moyu was slightly stunned. It seemed too easy, but in the next second, a huge wave surged from the golden swamp, and the water dragon reappeared. It spewed a large amount of dragon breath, which turned into water and covered the sky like a reverse waterfall. Lin Moyu changed positions again, using the giant stone to block the golden water. The skeletal god generals scattered, avoiding contact with the golden water. They unleashed sword energy again, shattering the water dragon. The golden water fell to the ground, merging with the swamp. In less than half a second, the water dragon reappeared. This time, the skeletal god generals attacked first, shattering it before it could attack. But in less than half a second, the water dragon reappeared. Lin Moyu watched as the water dragon was killed repeatedly and reappeared repeatedly. Does this thing have a resurrection ability like mine? The answer was obviously no. He knew the water dragon's immortality was due to some special rule. There must be something he hadn't discovered. Activating the undead vision, he saw the water dragon's soul fire. The soul fire matched the 9th level of the God King realm. Apart from the golden water, the water dragon had no other peculiarities. The problem was that no matter how many times the water dragon died, its soul remained unharmed. For the water dragon, the entire swamp was its body. As long as its soul was intact, it couldn't be killed. But where was the soul? Lin Moyu tried to lock onto the soul but found it constantly changing positions, never fixed in one place. The soul would rise with the water dragon and fall back into the swamp when the water dragon died. This process couldn't be stopped. As the water dragon was repeatedly killed, Lin Moyu finally noticed something. Each time the water dragon exploded, it turned into a large amount of golden water falling back into the swamp. Among the golden water, there were water masses and water droplets of various sizes. But each time, one water mass was particularly bright. Lin Moyu realized that this special water mass was the key to killing the water dragon. However, the water mass appeared in different locations each time, making it hard to predict. Since it was hard to predict, he decided not to. Lin Moyu chose a straightforward solution. In the sky, densely packed, there appeared tens of thousands of skeletal god generals. When the water dragon reappeared, the white sword energy scattered, instantly shattering the water dragon. The water dragon exploded into countless water droplets, trying to fall back into the water marsh. Then, waves of sword energy fell from the sky, not giving the water dragon any chance to return to the water marsh. Not only the water dragon, but even the water marsh covered by the sword energy was forcibly dried out. The golden water and the sword energy neutralized and annihilated each other. The sword energy of the skeletal god generals was far inferior to the rune fragments in the water mass in terms of power level. However, they had the advantage of quantity and continuous attacks. The rune fragments were merely remnants of the power left from ancient times, and even then, they were just a tiny fraction of the remnants. Finally, amidst the overwhelming sword energy, Lin Moyu saw the special water mass. While other golden water masses were dissolving with the sword energy, this special water mass persisted in the sword energy without being destroyed. However, it no longer had the chance to fall back into the water marsh, as waves of sword energy came from all directions, hitting it. It buzzed and hummed, unable to escape. The skeletal god generals controlled their power with extreme precision, not giving it any chance to fall. Lin Moyu seemed to hear the roar of the water dragon, but it was to no avail. Under the continuous attacks, the special water mass finally couldn't withstand it and exploded. It shattered into countless water droplets, which were then annihilated by the sword energy of the skeletal god generals. This time, the water dragon truly died and did not resurrect. Lin Moyu exhaled, still cautiously observing his surroundings, not letting his guard down. In such a secret realm, relaxing vigilance could cost one's life. A few seconds later, the water marsh disappeared, and the ground returned to normal. The giant stone in midair also turned into light spots and disappeared. Only then did Lin Moyu confirm that he had passed the second stage. Reflecting on it, the second stage wasn't particularly difficult. As long as one was careful and alert, it could generally be passed. The most challenging part, the water dragon, actually had a solution. After defeating it, one just needed to prevent it from returning to the water marsh. Once separated from the water marsh, it couldn't regenerate. Using stones to catch all the water masses after the water dragon's death would completely kill it. For others, this was the best method. However, Lin Moyu chose a simpler and more direct method to solve the problem. The ground rumbled, and a golden stone pillar rose from the ground. The stone pillar was engraved with complex runes. Seeing the runes on the stone pillar, Lin Moyu felt a strange sense of familiarity. He then patted his head and laughed at himself. I'm so foolish. The runes on the stone pillar were still just a corner of a complete rune. But it was the culmination of all the rune fragments in the secret realm. Although Lin Moyu had forgotten the runes he had previously recorded, he still remembered what he had done. It was because he had tried to remember those runes that he felt a strange sense of familiarity. Now it seemed there was no need to remember. If he truly had the ability, just looking at the runes on the pillar would suffice, saving the trouble of piecing them together. In the past, Lin Moyu would have tried his best to remember a corner of the rune. But now he wouldn't do that. He knew that even if he remembered, it would be useless, as he would soon forget. He would only remember that he had once tried to remember a very powerful and terrifying rune but wouldn't know what the rune looked like. Since that was the case, what was the point of remembering it? Lin Moyu just glanced at it and then stopped paying attention. A black vortex appeared beside him again. The aura of the Great World mixed with the power of the Human Emperor Network came from the vortex. Along with it came a reminder from the Human Emperor Network. Exploration of the second stage of the Poison Bee secret realm is complete. You can now choose to leave or continue to the third stage of exploration. Asterisk. Rewards will be settled after you leave the secret realm. Asterisk. Rewards will multiply based on your task progress. Asterisk. Please note, the third stage task is extremely dangerous, and the escape talisman may fail. Asterisk. Lin Moyu could understand the first two sentences, but the third one felt a bit strange. The third reminder clearly had an element of temptation, as if the Human Emperor Network wanted him to continue the task. Especially the fourth sentence, which explicitly stated that the third stage task was highly dangerous. The Human Emperor Network seems to want me to continue the task, but it also seems not to want me to continue. The contradiction is obvious. For the Human Emperor Network to describe a task as extremely dangerous, it must indeed be very dangerous. At least for the second stage, the Human Emperor Network didn't say that. During the second stage, the Human Emperor Network only mentioned that the task's danger level would increase significantly, but now it said it was extremely dangerous. The Human Emperor Network was always precise with its wording. Different words, even if similar in meaning, had completely different implications. The second stage's danger level significantly increased, indicating that some people had still completed the second stage task. But the third stage being extremely dangerous, in Lin Moyu's understanding, meant that no one had completed this task. Lin Moyu pondered for a long time and, through the vortex, communicated with the Human Emperor Network, asking his question. Is the third stage task beneficial to you? The same question as before. After a moment, the Human Emperor Network responded. The answer was the same as before, a simple yes. Lin Moyu took a deep breath. In that case, I'll give it a try. He believed in his strength. If even he couldn't complete it, then probably no one could. No matter how perverse the rules were, there would always be a way out. Just like the situation in the second stage, he believed he could always find a way to break through. Lin Moyu flew towards the rune pillar. In the core area of the divine city, outside the flame mass, a majestic voice sounded again. He has made his choice. I guess he chose to continue to the third stage. Yes, he is confident in his strength. No, that's just one aspect. The main reason he chose this is because he is human. Let's be prepared, this corner of the rune might be obtained. If he has hope, we must do our best to save him. Of course. The voices gradually faded, the flames in the void continued to burn fiercely. In the Poison Bee secret realm, the giant hand covered with runes extended further. Initially, it was just the palm, then the wrist, and now even the arm had emerged. The arm was also covered with runes, the same runes from the second stage. The previous runes were still there, but now they were clearer. The giant hand reached towards the sky, as if trying to grasp something. Lin Moyu was unaware of these changes. He followed his heart and was firm in his choice, without any unnecessary distractions. He arrived in front of the stone pillar. Standing before the 10,000-meter high stone pillar, Lin Moyu was like a speck of dust, so insignificant. Lin Moyu didn't recognize the runes on the stone pillar, only knowing it was part of a complete rune, a corner. Even just a part was incredibly powerful. He used his soul power to communicate with the stone pillar. The stone pillar rumbled, and the runes glowed brightly. The world before Lin Moyu's eyes suddenly became blurry, and an irresistible force descended around him and on him. The rules have been changed. At the moment when the vision became blurry, a large number of skeletal god generals appeared around Lin Moyu. This was an instinctive reaction. The secret realm was too dangerous, and unexpected events could happen at any time. Lin Moyu felt himself being teleported, and the rules around him changed. His first reaction was to summon the skeletal god generals and use bone hell to envelop himself. The vision remained blurry, and nothing could be seen. Whether using the soul eye of the other shore realm or the undead vision, he couldn't see the surroundings clearly. The soul's perception also became blurry. He could vaguely sense some things, but they were indistinct. In this completely unfavorable situation, the skeletal god generals transmitted a large amount of information back. They were under attack. For other cultivators, fighting in a situation where their eyes couldn't see was absolutely disadvantageous. Although cultivators didn't rely on their physical eyes, they heavily depended on soul perception. If both abilities were affected, their combat power would be greatly reduced. Lin Moyu immediately ordered the skeletal god generals to counterattack. Although they couldn't lock onto targets, the skeletal god generals, relying on their numbers, could still counterattack. Lin Moyu summoned more skeletal god generals, launching attacks in all directions. Unable to find the enemy, they adopted a saturation attack method, covering all directions. The attacks on the skeletal god generals were strong, surpassing the 9th level of the God King realm, reaching the level of a small god sovereign. Facing small god sovereign level attacks, the skeletal god generals were continuously injured, suffering severe damage. Lin Moyu snapped his fingers, and the Legion ruler appeared, healing the skeletal god generals. As time passed, the attacks seemed to intensify. The damage to the skeletal god generals also became more severe. Although the Legion ruler could still heal, Lin Moyu had to summon more and more skeletal god generals. At this point, even the Legion ruler was under attack. The source of the attacks was unknown, as were the methods and rules used. All that was known was that the attacks were omnidirectional, affecting all skeletal god generals and Legion rulers simultaneously. The degree of damage they suffered was identical. Due to the difference in realms, the Legion ruler suffered more damage than the skeletal god generals. Most of the Legion ruler's healing spells were used on itself. Only Lin Moyu, the master, was not attacked for some reason. This can't go on. Lin Moyu knew that if the attacks continued to intensify, his undead army would eventually be overwhelmed. Of course, he could gamble that the attacks had a limit. But he didn't dare to gamble because this was the power of rules. In the face of the power of rules, he couldn't afford to gamble. Unable to see, Lin Moyu quickly reviewed the entire process in his mind. He suddenly realized that when the Legion ruler first appeared, it wasn't attacked. It was only after the Legion ruler healed the skeletal god generals that it was attacked. In other words, except for the first wave of attacks, the subsequent attacks were passive, not active. Let's test it. With a thought, a skeletal god general appeared beside him. This skeletal god general remained motionless, not launching any attacks. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. 10 seconds passed, and it was not attacked. Lin Moyu knew he had guessed correctly. Except for the first wave of attacks, the subsequent attacks were all passive. It was his counterattack orders that caused the skeletal god generals to be attacked. The Legion ruler was also attacked because it healed the skeletal god generals. Now he had two choices. Let the current 100,000 skeletal god generals and tens of thousands of Legion rulers endure the attacks until they reached their limit and were destroyed. This loss was not significant for him and was entirely bearable. Being able to bear it was one thing, but whether he was willing to bear it was another. Lin Moyu didn't want his undead army to sacrifice in vain. It wasn't that the undead army couldn't die, but they shouldn't die pointlessly. Without much hesitation, Lin Moyu made a decision. Bone Hell instantly expanded, enveloping all the skeletal god generals. Lin Moyu joined the battle in his own way. This action was clearly seen as an attack. The next wave of attacks fell, including Lin Moyu. Bone Hell shook violently, trembling incessantly. The skeletal god generals and Legion rulers were also attacked. The attacks ignored the obstruction of Bone Hell, hitting them in a way Lin Moyu couldn't understand. Mark. Lin Moyu whispered in his heart. One of Bone Hell's functions was to mark attackers. The marked target could be locked onto by the soul. Sure enough, a mark appeared in Lin Moyu's consciousness. In the next second, the soul locked onto it. There was no need to see it. As long as it was marked, it could be locked onto and couldn't escape. Attack. With a whisper in his heart, 100,000 skeletal god generals simultaneously swung their swords, attacking the target. Sword energy swept through, and a white mass appeared in the blurry vision. Boom! A more intense counterattack occurred, and the undead army suffered severe damage again. The Legion ruler was busy healing, and all the skeletal god generals were enveloped in white light. Lin Moyu sensed that the marked target was not without damage. It was indeed injured, but not severely enough. With determination, more skeletal god generals appeared. If 100,000 skeletal god generals weren't enough, then 1,000,000. As long as the space could accommodate them, 10 times more wouldn't be a problem. The white sword energy filled the mysterious space, as if something was being torn apart. Lin Moyu heard a scream. Light appeared in his vision, quickly restoring clarity. He saw a monster looking at him in horror. The monster was round and covered in spikes. Seeing it, Lin Moyu thought of a sea urchin. In the small world, many people like to eat sea urchins. But the sea urchin monster before him was hundreds or thousands of times larger. It was at least 1 kilometer long, with a round body covered in spikes, and hundreds of eyes among the spikes. All the eyes showed the same emotion, fear. In the places without eyes, Lin Moyu saw a rune. It resembled a corner of the rune on the stone pillar but was different. The rune had been broken by him, injuring the sea urchin monster. The one affecting my vision and launching indiscriminate attacks was this rune. Lin Moyu quickly made a judgment. The sea urchin monster's strength was average, only at the small god sovereign level. It wasn't much stronger than the skeletal god generals. Even an ordinary human small god sovereign could defeat it. Its greatest strength was the rune. Lin Moyu didn't recognize the rune but knew it had the power of rules, capable of launching strange attacks. The sea urchin monster screamed, seemingly warning Lin Moyu, then turned to flee. Dream on if you think you can escape. The skeletal god generals quickly acted, their sword energy engulfing it. Without the rune, the sea urchin monster had no other path but death against 1,000,000 skeletal god generals. After killing the sea urchin monster, Lin Moyu didn't feel much relief. Without Bone Hell, he might not have passed this stage. If it were another cultivator, even a small god sovereign, they would likely be helpless here. As the attacks intensified, they would ultimately meet their end. The third stage was indeed very dangerous.